Hey, dailies across the world, I'm so glad you pressed play. Today's a special one for you. I'm going to be treating you with a special guest. Let me introduce our guest for today. So, this individual, he did his bachelor's at theology at Omega Bible Institute, Masters of Divinity at Payne Theological Seminary, and now he's completed his Doctor of Ministry Transformational Leadership at Payne Theological Seminary, currently working at St. Paul AME Church, Columbus. He's a leader. He's a motivational speaker. He's a reverend. However, he's probably one of the top runway fashionistas that I ever seen as a reverend. Let's put our hands together for none other than Dr. M. Come on, in the chat. Put our hands together for Dr. M.
Thank you so much, Randall. Greetings to you and to all the listeners out there who have joined us today. It's good to be here, Randall, and thank you for inviting me to this platform.
Dr. M, I must say, I told you this before, but your fashion is on another level. Can you just share with us? Let's just kick it off with that. Like, how did it start with you being so fashionable? Because when I look at your Facebook and Instagram, over 20,000 followers, if not more. What was how did it start being so fashionable?
It's my mama. She did it. My mother was extremely, and you'll hear me throughout this interview, giving a lot of credit to her. Okay. She was an extremely classy lady. Back in the day, she believed that she was this Victorian lady. So she really instilled in all of us, me and my siblings, that you always need to be on point. You always need to be well presented, well dressed. And she was very well, always on point, always well dressed, never left the house. And I think because I was the last born, she really because I was in the house when all my siblings has left. So she instilled and drove that in me. So it comes from there.
If I might ask, is your mom currently still alive, or?
No, my mom and my dad passed away. My mom actually passed away. My dad passed away in 2014 or 13, and my mom 2015.
Okay, my condolences to you and the family. I know it's been a while, but it's always good just to send our sympathies and respect. I believe it's always something that we don't get over. It's something we manage for the rest of our lives. So good for you, man. And I'm glad when she looks down at you, she will see her son walking proud.
I hope so. And she can send a little bit of cash my way too. I'm just joking.
Some heavenly cash.
Yeah.
I know before the interview, Dr. M, you were mentioning that your doggy Prince is not feeling well. I didn't get to ask you what happened, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. It's something to do with what the vet said, that dogs that breed, such breeds, they do get infection in their disc cord or in their spine, and it could be a shift in the spine. So we're treating that first, and then they will do some. So he's having a little bit of trouble with his two back legs. So he's in a little bit of pain. So.
Yeah, and it's always such a thing because they become like family, eh? And how long have you had Prince for?
So I actually got Prince when COVID started, May 15, 2020.
Okay, a COVID baby, and it's such a special time in your life when you need someone so close, eh? When everyone was just isolated.
Man, I'm telling you, I had a dog as well prior to Prince, and then he was a very old, much older dog. And I adopted him from the shelter. So I didn't know how sick that dog was. So he only lived with me for a year and a few months.
Shame.
And then I was like so attached to him. I decided I'm not going to get a dog going. I heard a lockdown. I said, I live in Wilberforce, Ohio. There's nothing there. It's ecological. I need a dog. And I rehomed Prince on May 15th.
Wow.
So that's also his birthday to me.
Wow. So his birthday is coming up now. Do you get anything for him on his birthday, or do you do anything special, or is it,
Prince is a very spoiled dog, so I can buy him expensive cookies. He's not going to eat it. He's just like one thing, but I do buy him a little jersey or a jacket. and pretend like I do for Christmas as well. He gets his gifts as well.
Oh man, that's sweet. I know we'll definitely send him a shout out on the 15th. If you're in the chat right now, we want to thank you. Also send healing prayers to Prince right now, as he's of course dealing with some back leg issues. And if you are in the chat right now, we want to thank you. A big thanks for joining. Now, Dr. M, I was thinking to myself, where do we start? You born in Cape Town and now you are in Columbus. It both starts with a C. Let's start with the first C, Cape Town.
That's right. That's home is where the heart is.
Can you say that again?
Home is where the heart is. My heart is there.
Come on, if you're in the chat, you got to send some South African flags right there and some hearts.
Yes, and I want to send that back to them because with big hearts on there, my heart is right there. Especially this time of the year.
Yeah.
You know, season time, festive season time. My heart is in Cape Town.
So that begs the question, and we'll get to the official question, but who's currently back home that still holds dear to you?
So I do have two siblings. I have a sister and a brother, and a brother-in-law, and then obviously my nephews and my nieces that are there, and the extended family that are there. So they are there, but you know, my parents, as both of them have departed this life, they are no more. So, but I do have siblings still there, and I'm in contact with them continuously.
Absolutely, especially when I see you go live, I see so much how you get so much love. Dr. M, do you realize how much love you get from South Africa?
I am telling you, Randall, I after this journey home, when I went home for the graduation celebration, I was in awe with the Cape Town love that I've received. Wow. And it's, you know, Johannesburg and other places as well, but that home, that Cape Town, and the little towns around, the love that I received, the outpour of love and care, was absolutely amazing. When I had to do my thanks, I just started bursting out crying, and not crying because something happened, crying because of gratitude and, you know, thankfulness to God for this season of my life. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. But, you know, I have a certain belief on why that is happening to me as well.
Okay.
I do believe that, and I said this at the graduation celebration, that I believe that I walk in the blessings of that my parents left behind.
Okay.
Because I always remember, and if I could share this with you, Randall,
please.
My mother was a giver, and she would bless, and we would always feel that she excessively blessed, overly blessed people. And she would always turn around when we want to stop her. She would say, I am doing this so that y'all can reap the blessings. So this blessings is not for me. This blessings is for my children and their children, that my children's children. And I believe, and I was asking God, where does this come from? And where does it? I believe it is the blessings that comes. I'm walking in that blessings, in that favor of the good that my mother did for others. I'm reaping that reward.
Wow, what a story. Because I always thought, Dr. M, where does all this love come from? And of course, you are a likable guy. You are someone that people gravitate towards. But you and I know that a lot of people are likable and a lot of people are quote unquote influencers. But someone like yourself, and I'm sure you've probably questioned yourself, where and how do you get this love? And here we get to hear the answer. It's from your mom, eh?
Yeah, it's from that. Because I don't want to say this out loud, but we are in the public. I think my dad was often, because he was a businessman and he was business minded. So business people are stingy people.
Oh, yeah. Say it maar in Afrikaans as jy wil, né?
Yeah. So he would be stingy, but my mom was like, you know, a spender, yes, but also that. And she would tell him as well, you know, in order to receive, you need to give, you need to bless, and our children will reap this blessing. And all I'm saying, I am reaping the blessings from my parents. I'm reaping the blessings. I'm walking in those blessings and in that favor. And I believe that God releases when he blesses parents, and when your parents blesses you, that comes from God. And my mother used to bless us and say that I bless you. I can't give you everything, but I bless you. And I am walking in that favor of God's blessings.
You know what? I so thank you for sharing that with me. And whilst we're on the point of you getting so much love from Cape Town, I just want to take the time out to thank you for your time today, for sharing it with me and for all these, for everyone else that's watching. You didn't have to take this opportunity. However, I know we spoke around probably 2 to 3 years ago and we touched base and I said, hey, Rev, I love what you do. And of course, you know, you reciprocated and now we're crossing paths again 2-3 years later. So a major salute to you, eh?
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. Absolutely.
No, indeed. So let's go to Cape Town. Let's start from the origin. I've always wondered, what was Dr. M? See, I don't know, Rev M2. What was Dr. M like as a kid growing up? If we had to have a microscope now, looking at you from the ages in high school, or rather in primary school and high school, was there a difference in personalities? Were you the same? And what were you, what was Dr. M like?
Obviously, we evolve and we evolve in our maturity levels. But I do think I've always been a spontaneous child. You know, I've always been, I think I would say back in the day, we say I was, you know, the loud child, the cheering, the cheerleader, the go-getter, the fun. I think the spontaneous of my personality have not changed, though we evolved in maturity and how we manage that spontaneousness. But I do think that part of my personality is the same. I think throughout primary school, and when you're younger, you are wilder. So as you evolve and as you grow, you become quieter. You treat circumstances differently. But I think the foundation is always been joyful, spontaneous.
Really, eh?
I always struggle with the one because you would assume extrovert, but I do have introvert traits as well.
Really, eh?
And we can talk about that later. And I think you can pick it up a little bit later because I don't think that is something that people recognize or always think, but I do have both. I think as I was in primary school and going to high school, I was typically just an extrovert and it was just been seen as an extrovert. But as you evolve, you will see how the introvert part also joins that woo of my nature.
Gotcha. Wow. I can see you being an extrovert back in the day, because just based off what I see on social media and our interactions, I can see. I'm really curious about that introverted side and how that side has, developed and also kept you potentially sane in the process.
Yeah.
So growing up in Cape Town, whenever I think about Cape Town, I've got fond memories. Dr. M, when you think about Cape Town and you think about fond memories, you're currently living in the USA. When you think about South Africa, what immediately comes to mind?
Culture, community, people, food, energy. Busy, in your business, out of your business. All of that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And when I call that so easily, those are the very things I miss. I think taxi drivers. I think I think all of that. The shouting of the taxi gachi. I think about all those kind of things, which I sometimes miss. I think about community, but the collective word that I want to use is community.
So true. I'm not sure about you, but whenever I go back home, Dr. M, I almost feel like my soul has been enriched. It has been, it's been like soul food, eating soul food. And when you leave, you feel much more empowered. You feel much more rejuvenated. Do you feel that way whenever you come back?
Exactly the same way. I think when I got home, I struggled to come back this time around. because of all that love that I received, and because of the samosas that I received, and the curries and the fish and chips and all those kind of things that I don't want to make. I don't want you to crave back and become homesick here. But because of all of that, but I feel electrified, I feel energized, I feel revived, and I feel renewed when I come from home.
Wow. And I'm sure a big part of that is because of the love you receive when you're there. The reception, people wanting to get a piece of you. They're also giving you luxuries to bring back home. Ali parcels. Yeah. And also, I can't forget when I was following you, you went through to, I think it was one of the suit places in Chinatown, and how awesome it is just to get good quality things at affordable prices. That's one thing I miss.
But I want to tell you something about that now, Randall.
Okay.
By the time that suit came here, it wasn't Chinatown, so I bought it in Chinatown. So the Chinese made it, but I took it for alterations to Canal Walk.
Sure.
So it immediately became high-end suits before it, and then it became international suits because I traveled with it abroad. So that's not just any kind of suit.
Oh my, wow. It went through a transformation process,
Transformation process.
Sure, you turned it from an atheist to a believer. So Dr. M, listen, we don't want to go off track here. However, I do want to just pinpoint to one of the themes of the show. And the themes of the show is driven, how people come from situations where they were in a space where they weren't feeling driven, they weren't feeling motivated, they weren't feeling passionate for life, and how they brought themselves out. Do you remember a specific time, Dr. M, where you weren't driven? A time where you felt like you weren't going to get out of the situation? Because I'm sure you weren't always, like we mentioned, extroverted. And I'm sure, as we all do, we go through ups and also major lows at times. Do you remember a time, and can you share with us, take us through that journey of how you came out of it?
Let me package this whole thing. And I like the word driven because I gave it a lot of thought when I saw your program and this program, which is phenomenal. And I'm thankful that you are doing this just to inspire, empower, encourage, and motivate people.
Thank you.
And especially young people. So thank you for doing this. And I was thinking about this, and oftentimes I asked myself the question when I thought about this word driven in this program. Driven, I asked myself, where does my drive come from? What drives me? Before I get to that, and there is a story that I want to share with you. Okay. And it's actually that story out of this question that got me where I am today.
Okay.
So where does my drive come from? And remember, I started by telling you I'm going to honor my mother a lot. That was my drive.
Wow.
I had an she was very strict. I saw her as a very powerful woman.
Okay.
Very strong in nature. And she believed that she had to instill in me. Now, you need to remember, between me and my siblings, there are 13, 14, 15, 16-year gap.
Wow.
Okay. So my mother drove this process of becoming very hard.
Really?
She instilled and enforced. She put me in situations where I was forced to think and to be independent. She put me in situations where she wanted me to show resilience, strength, boldness from a very young age. So she drove. And her driving came from a position of my older siblings. And she told me one day that I will never make this. You see, mistakes teaches us lessons.
Come on.
Failures and whatever we think is failures teaches lessons. Because and I never called it failures. I called it the mistakes that she might have made with the upbringings of the older siblings.
Okay.
She said to me, I will never make those same mistakes with you.
Wow.
And that was in an argument one day, because I couldn't understand why she treated me differently, why she treated situations that happened with my older siblings different to mine. And she bursted out saying, I will never make the same mistakes that I might have made, or that I have made with the older brothers and sisters with you. So she instilled that drive within me. And if you are surrounded, remember, there are things that are in your surroundings that you do gravitate to.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is all you know, that is all you know.
All you know.
My mother always said, you can't miss what you never had.
Sure.
So because she was such a hard driver and a driving force and an encourager and a pusher, and I can give you lessons that woman put me through, which I thought she was mean, and I thought it was unfair, and it ended up she did it so that I can be driven, so that I can have that she prepared me for where I am. So that is where my drive comes from. Okay. And if you ask me about now, that is who instilled the drive in me. Okay. What drives me? And I am, that is to me, that is a big question. But I think people drives me. Okay. Making a difference drive me. Making an impact drives me. Giving of self drives me. So that is that. And then I want to answer your question. Do you remember specific time when in your life that you did not feel driven, when you, yes, you brought me to the United States of America? Because I was high energy, high level, highly driven. Even driven people get weak.
Wow.
Even driven people have lows, as you said. And I remember in the death of my parents, my mother was a low, but it was in 2016 when I decided that it was most likely not a matter of not being driven. It was a matter of being in a position where it was too much.
Wow.
At that time, I had a business that I ran successfully. I had a very challenging job with a boss and a manager that pushed me very hard to my limits, that I showed that I can always produce my best. Then I had a church at that time pastoring. So I had the responsibility of souls. I had the responsibility of staff. And then I had a business, a responsibility of making sure that people have a roof over their heads and food on their table. So in that process, it became so much. At that time, we didn't know about mental health, and you had, all those kind of things. I wasn't focused on that. And I think my energy levels dropped, and I said, I need a break. I need to cut this. I can't do this anymore. I'm hitting a low.
Yeah.
And the low wasn't external, it was internal. Because externally, I would smile. Externally, I would be energetic. Externally, I would be driven. But internally, I'm worn out.
Wow.
And that is when I made the decision that I need a break. Now, imagine giving up a very good job in government, in education.
Okay.
A business that are thriving. A good church that I loved.
Sure.
I was making good money. I drove the latest BMW. I had a nice apartment. I was independent.
What a lifestyle, eh?
Say again?
What a lifestyle, eh?
I had a good lifestyle. And I gave it up. I said to myself, I needed a break. And at that time, I was very in love with the United States.
Okay.
And I said to myself, this is where I need to go. So it is the drop of my energy and of that high level of being driven with all the responsibilities that brought me where I am today, which became the biggest blessing of my life.
Really, eh?
The biggest blessing.
Sure. You said so much in a short space of time there, and I don't want to skip over some crucial points that you made. You made a point that in 2016, so was that the year, Dr. M, that you made the transition over to the US?
So I made it in 2017. I started the process in 2016.
So I want to focus on that process in 2016, not on the immigration process, more on the process of you had such a major lifestyle. You had such a major lifestyle in Cape Town, yet on the outside, it looked like you were on top of the world, but on the inside, you were crumbling.
That's right.
What if you can? Of course, you can let me know if this is too deep. However, can you take us to the moment of what were you feeling inside that made you feel like it was too much? What was that emotion?
It was tiredness. It was a deep tiredness, and not a tiredness of not getting enough sleep. A tiredness of constantly giving, constantly pouring, and even pouring in the midst of your own brokenness.
Wow.
Pouring in the midst of your own pain. Because remember, by that time, I have lost 2 brothers. I have lost my brother's daughter. I have lost my father. I've lost my mother's sister. I lost my mother's half brother. I've lost my father. And I have lost my mother. So it was a mixture of tiredness, emotionally tiredness.
Yeah.
Not of physical tiredness.
Yeah.
But in deep emotional, and we don't recognize it. And remember, I only recognized that when I came to the US. What it was. And I'll explain that to you.
Please.
So when I got here, I was in a place of isolation because of the town that the school is in, and living on a seminary campus. And in a culture wat baie privaat is.
I hear you.
As jy op 'n kultuur waar ons môreoggend opstaan en maak ons al die vensters oop en al die deure en so we stoep by die neighbors.
Yeah.
You know the culture. You know you're so close to here. You know it's a different ball game.
So true.
Almal se vensters toe, almal se deure toe.
Yeah, niemand sê hi vir mekaar nie, is net. Yeah.
That's right. But that was what I needed. That was the blessing. It was in the isolation.
Sure.
Because I started crying. And then I started crying, thinking I'm crying because of loneliness. And because when I could sommer vir alles gehuil, Randall. Ek hy later oor daai een baadjie wat nou by DM gepas het wat ek ingepak het. Do you know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
And then I'm saying, why did you just cry? Go get another one. But that is not what the tears was for. The tears was God allowing me to heal from the brokenness of loss, of pain, and of death.
Wow.
Because in all of burying 2 brothers and burying your aunt and burying your brother's daughter, burying your father and then burying your mother, you kept on going and kept on going. You never paused. You are unhealed. You are broken, but you keep on going. Keep on going. You put a quick band-aid over the brokenness and then you keep on going. And the band-aid comes off and you replace it with a new band-aid. And God needed to bring me to a point of quietness, of isolation, so that I could deal with the heart, the soul, and the mind.
Wow. Dr. M, you've spoken to us without speaking to us right now. there's many of us that are feeling overwhelmed with so much responsibility. And when I listened to your story, Dr. M, one of the key principles that stood out was there can be healing in isolation. Because sometimes we are so busy with others' needs and we neglect our own. And, this really brings me to the next point that we touched on earlier regarding being introverted. Was this the time where that was really a part of your life, being introverted?
It is when I realized that I would, and it did. I didn't recognize it at home because I could never stay with people, and I love people.
Yeah.
I could never be I couldn't share a home with people. I struggled to share an apartment. I couldn't have a housemate. I had a housemate twice. Once when I stayed in Worcester, because I stayed there for a long time,
Okay.
But I had a big house.
Okay.
I really had a mansion in Worcester. I stayed in a very big house.
Yeah.
So I could bring, it was a student that I brought in, not a very long time, but at least there. And then when I started transitioning to leave South Africa for the United States, a friend came to stay in the apartment because I was in transition.
Okay.
That was the only times. But I never recognized that is the introverted part, that after all this busyness and after dealing with so much and pouring and giving and whatever, I want to be in my own personal space. I want to close my door. I don't want to see anybody. That's that introverted. And I'm like that right now. I want to be on the pulpit on Sunday. I want to do everything I have to do with my people. But if I come back, I want to come into my space.
So true. So true.
So I want to pour and retreat. I want to pour and I need to retreat where I can be on my own. And I never thought I could. I always thought, because I'm so driven by people, that I constantly needed people. And I thought I needed, not recognizing, but you like to also be alone. You also like to not go. And I think this journey also enhanced that, because I remember going back the second or third time in 2018, 19. And I didn't want to go out there even. I said, I will just chill at home. And I realized, and my friend said, what happened to you? I said, life happened to me, but
jy wil in by die huis bly en jy's in die Kaap
but I was so accustomed to it. And that is why I said the isolation was an opportunity for God wants to heal. And I don't want to get very scriptural and technical, but and very biblical, but that is who I am.
Absolutely.
In the book of Mark, there's a story, and I write this in my spiritual autobiography document that I wrote for my doctoral degree, where I wrote the article "Blessed in Isolation."
Sure.
Blessed in isolation. And I use the reference, I think it's Mark, the book of Mark, where they brought the blind man to Jesus to heal him. And the text says, and Jesus took him outside of the village and made the clay and healed the man. Pause for a moment. We are talking about God, omnipotent, omnipotent.
Yes.
He could have healed him right there. But what Jesus did in that moment, he removed him from his comfort zone. He removed him from the noise of the world, removed him from even those who brought him there.
Sure.
Sometimes God removes you even from the people who gave you the platform, who lifted you up, who brought you to the point, and he healed him outside of the city. Sometimes God needs to deal with us by ourselves.
Ek is klaar met die interview. Ek is klaar. Sure.
So I was that man. I was that blind man who he took from my comfort zone, from the BMW, from the nice apartment, from the bank account, from all the friends in the world, from all the nice events, from all the who's who. He removed me and stripped me and placed me at a place where I can run nowhere, can fly nowhere, can get nowhere, nothing. And I said, I need to deal with you, because if I'm going to use you to heal someone else, I need to start healing you so you can pour in. So if ministry and if the church is where you're going to be placed and I need you, I need to deal with you first.
Sure.
And that is when he started he said, you cry now. Think about your mother and cry. Ek het gehuil as ek net aan my ma se foute kyk daar hy lê.
Sure.
And I could cry and could work through it. And then he did another thing. Now he says, and now you need to start studying and reading, because you thought you've got it made. You thought you the it. You thought because you had the gift of the gab, you are something. I need you to have knowledge, understanding of what it is that you think you know.
Okay.
So he took me even to that place of reading. I hated reading, Randall. Ek het seker net die Bybel gelees en een van die 2 blaaie uit 'n boek uit. Here I am doing a master's degree. I had to read so many books. I had to write book reviews. Because there's something about knowledge. Because many of us gets on the pulpit and we talk and we don't interpret the scripture. We don't look at historical context. We don't understand who they were talking to. What was the cultural experience? We don't understand why things happen. And we spew things out of our mouth and we think we are wonderful because we have charisma and we have whatever. God said, I need you firstly to heal.
Wow.
And I need to take you to that process. And then I need to equip you for where I am about to take you. You're going to need both.
Sure. Dr. M, you've taken us through your journey without even asking the question. Thank you so much for being so vulnerable right now. And if you are in the chat right now, I would encourage you just to share with us what you are receiving and what is blessing your heart as Dr. M speaks and as he continues to speak. You mentioned 2 things right now, Dr. M. You said that God shared with you that you need to heal, number 1, and number 2, you need to equip yourself, which you have now done with your studies. This begs the question, and I can see the journey that you've went through from South Africa over to the US, and it really sounds like. And I don't want to bring it back to this point, but this point is such a pivotal key in your story with your mom. For those that doesn't have parents that was a model for them to be able to show them what being driven is like. For those that doesn't know, where to start when it comes to getting out of their situation where they feel like there's no hope, where they feel like 2024 is just going to be another year similar to 2023. With that person in mind, Dr. M, what can you share with us and what can you tell that person to their spirit right now?
I want to tell them, don't be a victim of that circumstances. Let that circumstances be your driving force. 1, never give up. Look at your circumstances and tell your circumstances that I'm not going to be a victim of you circumstances, but I'm going to use you to tell myself I'm going to make it. I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to strive. I'm going to take risks. Yes. And even if I fall, I'm going to get up. I'm going to pick myself up again, and I'm going to strive, and I'm going to go. And no matter what stumbling block comes my way, I'm going to use it as not as an end of my journey, but I'm going to use it just as a time to pause and say, all right, let me pause, get over this hurdle, and I'm going to keep on going. Because I just want to say to somebody, roadblocks, speed bumps, and all those kind of things that is in a road is not there to stop the journey. It is there to tell you, just go a little bit slower. Because sometimes that very stumbling block that is there, that speed bump there, is a blessing, because it is trying to let you go slow here so that you don't run in an accident there.
Wow.
And use that and say, I'm going to pick myself up. Because we don't live on an island. We don't live in an island of our bad circumstances. Because this might be bad, but if we look out the window on the other side, we see good. And I can say, while I'm in here, I see the possibility of that. That is what I'm going to strive for.
Wow, you spoke right into my spirit, and I'm sure those that are watching right now, you are speaking straight to their hearts. Thank you so much, Dr. M. You don't know how much that means to me, and I'm sure you don't know how much that means to those that are watching right now. Dr. M, on that same note, somebody is feeling like, I don't have that promised land that I'm looking forward to. I don't have something that is driving me towards a brighter future, and therefore I don't feel driven for anything. I'm like, my days are going to be the same from now until then. For that individual that doesn't have anything to look forward to, what can you share with us?
Change your surroundings. Change who you operate with. Find people. Once again, we don't live in an island. We don't live in an island. Find there or look at people, because there's other people that is in our families, in our road, connect with people that you see are driven. Because we all want to have people that can, and they might not say to us something, but their lifestyle will show us that this person is driven. And if you connect yourself with those kind of people, at the end of the day, nobody is responsible and accountable for us. We are responsible and accountable for ourselves.
Ouch.
So we cannot blame other people, but we can take examples from people's lives. So oftentimes we ought to change our surroundings. If I'm going to remain in a space of sadness, I'm going to continue being sad. If I'm going to surround myself with people that are negative, I'm going to remain in that negative space. If I'm going to stay in a place where all we do is gossip, I'm going to stay in a spirit of gossip. If I'm always You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
We have those people. I want to tell you, might not have the money that other people have. You might not have the luxuries that other people have. But if you are going to say, because I don't have this, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to try and connect to someone that that looks better, that dresses better, that drives better, that. There is a portion of self where we as self need to do something for self, where I have to say, self, I'm doing this for you.
Please.
I'm changing my surroundings. I'm changing where I am. And that will cost something. It's going to cost us to let go of some people. And in life, some people, some things, got to go. As hard as it is.
Hey, nah.
And Randall, even that means, even sometimes it means there's family to go. That's the unfortunateness.
Dr. M, you've shot straight to the hip right there. I think it's a general consensus that if we want to change our circumstance, you've given us a major point, and that is changing our environment. And may this be a blessing and an encouragement for us right here, watching here in the chat, that in order to change everything, we've got to change the inside, but also, like Dr. M said, we got to change the outside, because sometimes it helps when we can get outside.
That's right.
It's sometimes very difficult trying to change the inside, still stuck in the same environment. That's right. I couldn't agree more. And thank you so much for that. I know we are running close to time, but before we end off Dr. M. I've got a couple of rapid fire questions here for you, which I'm sure you're going to love. And at the end, I just want to ask you also a brief question just for you to share to the people back home, because I'm sure they want to hear a message from you. Just you can send them your regards as well. So are you ready, Dr. M? Let's kick it off.
Let me hear what you've got.
So in South Africa and in the US, we will take it two different questions. So number one, in South Africa, what is your favorite dessert?
Sure. Trifle.
Only one.
Only one.
You know what? It is hard, I must admit, to do only one. Okay, let's do your top two. Top two.
Lord have mercy. Trifle and malva.
Ooh, man, sir. If you had to choose between one, if I had to choose between that one, it would be malva for me. What would it be for you if you just had to choose one?
Malva for winter, trifle for summer.
Come on. So now coming to the US, being in the US right now, is there a dessert that you really enjoy?
I do enjoy a Boston cream pie.
Ooh.
Boston cream pie. It's a custardy, and I think because it gives me that kind of custardy feel from back home, and it has a layer of the cake and the chocolate on top of it. So I do like that, and I do like banana pudding as well. Their kind of banana pudding.
Really, what makes the banana pudding so good?
But you see, I like pudding. So I like again, I think it's that custardy
milk tart
milk thing, because I do like that a lot.
Okay. Awesome. So there we have it. If he comes back home to SA, you've got to have the trifle ready this December.
I hope I'm not going home December.
I'm going home December, so I'm just shooting my shot there, you know. Okay, here we go. Number two. What's your favorite place in the world that you've been to?
New York City.
Really? I love New York. Wow, New York, eh? What makes New York so special for you?
It is electrifying. It does something to my spirit. My church even knows if they would have sent me somewhere because I have had too much, or we have it's so much, send in 2 days to New York. It does something to my spirit. Because since I've been here, I'm in my 7th year, I have been in quiet places.
Gotcha.
And New York is the hustle and the bustle and the late nights and the safety and the, all of that. I can walk in the midnight and I can, all that and the hustle and getting on the train and getting on the bus and the Amtrak and the lights and the spirit and the freeness of New York. Love it.
I really want to experience that hustle and bustle.
You haven't been to New York?
The place that never sleeps, eh? The city that never sleeps.
Now, you in Canada, have you been? You have not been to New York?
No, I haven't been to New York, no.
So we are going to, because you can actually just run across the border. So
wonderful.
We will meet in New York.
Wonderful. That's a deal. Perhaps next year. Let's look into it. Let's look into it.
Just not during winter.
Ja, nee man, mens wil lekker warm kry man. That's what I said. No more winters for me, and no more winters after my Navy contract, Dr. M. I said no more winters. All right, here we go. If you had to go to, and this is a two-part question, if you had to go to a musical concert in South Africa, which artist would you go and see?
Who I haven't seen, because Robin Peters is gonna kill me.
Robin, if you are in the chat right now, I want you to let Dr. M know what your thoughts on that was. But okay, so we of course, Robin is a given, a mega talent from back home. Not just a talent, Dr. M, but also a personality, eh?
You know what I would want to go see as a musical concert? I have not been to Johannesburg at a joyous celebration concert. I have not been.
I hear you.
I have not, and I would like to see that.
Sure, hulle is op nog 'n level, né?
Nog 'n level. So that would be the concert.
Wonderful. So that's in South Africa. How about in overseas and musical artists overseas that you really would like to see?
Kyk mense, maak julle oor toe. Beyonce!
Yes, yeah. And what is it about Beyonce that really gets you?
I think energy. Remember, I feed off energy.
Yeah.
I feed off it's that dancing and that. And I know there's a lot of people that say she is now atheist or she is an antichrist. I don't care. I want to hear the beat, the dance, the electrify.
Yes, sir.
I don't have to let anything that is not good infiltrate my spirit. I know who I am. I know what is inside of me. So I'm good with that.
Absolutely. I always said when I watched her live, when I watched her concerts, I've always wanted to see a live concert because she sounds exactly like her CDs. You know, when people dance and when they sing, there's a little bit of a break between the two. But for me, it would also be Chris Brown. I always want to see Chris Brown live. So it would be those two, Beyonce and Chris Brown. All righty. Last question. Let's get it up here. So regarding the show, it's called Driven Daily. Now, is there a vehicle that you enjoy driving or you would love to drive it in the future?
All right. So my favorite car, and I when God blessed me living in South Africa, and I became financially independent.
Come on.
I'm being diplomatic.
You had to pause there for a second. What happened there?
I wanted to give the correct words to phrase that.
Yeah.
When I became financially independent, I drove BMW, and I simply love driving BMW.
Really, eh?
But what I would love to drive here, and I tell my church people this here all the time, we talk about it, is I love a Cadillac.
Okay.
I do love a Cadillac.
Wow. What color Cadillac?
If it is a sedan, the car, black or cream.
Nice.
I would not want to do an SUV in that. It's such a classic car.
It is.
That I would just want to. Now they say it's an old preacher's car. They always say, so I said, okay, I'll wait with that one for the old part.
Yeah.
Preacher, definitely.
And obviously,
I do love Mercedes-Benz.
Okay, so just to bring it back, you said BMW initially. What's it about a BMW that you really love?
BMW sheer driving pleasure.
Sure. It sounds like a spokesperson right there.
Yeah. BMW, if you are in here, know what I'm saying. Sheer driving pleasure. Just the sturdiness of that car. I used to live in Worcester for a while. And, you know, just the way that car takes that curves and that bends through that mountains. It is a sturdy, strong car. And it's a luxury car, so I really like it. Now, I did say, Randall, back in the day when I'm 40, you know, that was before I knew what God had in store for me, before I knew I was going to end up in America, before I knew that this is going to be a home and this is going to be my lifestyle. For all of that, before God grabbed a hold of me.
Teach, Doc, teach.
You are not your own. I decide where you're going. I said by 40, I'll transition from BMW to Mercedes-Benz. Wow. But that has not happened because God had another journey with my life in store.
Gotcha. I thought you said Robin Peters there for a second. But
near Dayong Raya BMW, he loves BMW as well.
No wonder.
But I just want to say that he drove his BMW after I had my third one.
Okay, you just had to put that out there. So no, praise the Lord for that. We're going to end very soon, but before we do, Dr. M, can you share any final words that you have for the people of South Africa? Because I know a lot of them are watching at this moment.
I want to say thank you for the love that I received. Thank you for as much as people think that I am pouring into them with word and knowledge and wisdom and what God has blessed me with. Whenever they speak to me, whenever they send a message, whenever they hug me, whenever they greet me, whenever they call my name, that means so much to me. That is them pouring into me.
Wow.
I feel it. I sense it. I see it. I recognize it. And no matter how small it is valuable. And I appreciate it. I want to say thank you to each one of them. And then for every driven listener, who are on their way to become driven, who are driven, and who are making the transition to become driven.
Yes.
I want to say, if you are calculating the cost of taking a risk, I will tell you, you will never understand the cost of regret.
Oh, sure.
Take the risk, because the cost of regret is so much higher.
Wow.
I left South Africa and I made my speech on the pulpit at my church in Atlantis. I said these words. I said, I don't know what the United States has in store for me. And I don't know what and who is waiting for me. But I will rather come back knowing that I took the risk.
Wow.
I failed and fall, but I know what it was about.
Sure.
Than not taking the risk and living with the cost of regret that I never tried.
Wow.
Take risks in life. Go for what it is that you want.
Yes.
Yes, people will say something, she didn't make it. He didn't make it. Can you see? I knew they wouldn't make it. That's okay.
Yeah.
You took the risk.
Wow.
And but sitting and dealing with the cost of regret is the worst feeling. Keep on going. Keep pushing.
Yes.
Keep driving.
Yes.
Remain driven. God bless.
Wow.
Thank you,
That's so encouraging. I'm feeling so uplifted right now, and I'm sure those all in the chat is feeling the same way. From Cape Town to Columbus, such a blessing. You are a blessing wherever you go, and I continue to pray for you, Dr. M, and my desire is that you might continue to share your gift. And my prayer is that we might meet in New York one day and we might make it even louder that God is still on the throne and that we should remain driven. Dr. M, from my heart to yours, know that I love you, know that I care.
Thank you
so
much.
And
Randall,
for those,
sorry, thank you so much. And I pray blessings over this program. I pray blessings over Driven, that it will grow, that its territory will be enlarged, that it will reach so many people, that they'll be inspired by who you bring on here, be inspired by your words and become driven, and that they will keep on. So blessings from my side to you as well and this program. And thank you for the honor of inviting me and for having me.
Thank you for those words, Dr. M. It's totally my pleasure. You could have said, no, I don't want to do this, but you gladly obliged. And for that, I'm forever grateful. So today, we just want to thank everyone that has joined. And like we always say, we are not here just to survive. We are here to thrive.
That's right.
So until next time, thank you, Dr. M.
Thank you, Randall. You have a super awesome and blessed day. God bless you.
God bless you. Goodbye.